I want you to picture this. You just got a phone call. It's a buyer that is willing to offer you $10 million to acquire your business. I want you to think about another scenario. Your son comes into your office and says, Dad, I'm ready to take over the business. I want you to picture another scenario. You have two key employees that have been with you for 20 years. They walk into your office and they tell you that they feel like they've hit a ceiling and that they're thinking about going out and starting their own business. Even worse, I want you to think about a scenario where you're sitting in your office contemplating having to close the doors to your business. Maybe it's because your business partner just passed away. Maybe it's because you and your wife are going through a divorce, or your business partner and his wife are going through a divorce. Maybe it's a disability that prevents you from being able to work in the business. These are all scenarios that may come up that you probably aren't prepared for. And so when I talk to business owners about the importance of being prepared to exit their business, it's not just about being prepared to exit your business today or tomorrow or even 2 years from now. It's just about being ready and prepared for any of these scenarios. Less than 20% of business owners actually have a formal plan to exit their business. And that's difficult considering that 50% of businesses actually exit involuntarily, meaning there was no plan to have that happen. So what we're going to talk about is the importance of being prepared to exit your business, whether you're looking to do it now, 5 or 10 years in the future, and the tools and resources that we have available for you to get that process started. What if you could know exactly what your business could potentially be worth today, what the industry best in class is, and the potential gap that you have in between what your company is valued at and what that top company in the industry is valued at? Well, that's where the value gap assessment comes into play. This is a free tool that I offer you as a way to kind of get that basic information. In addition to that, you're going to get some information on the different steps it takes to potentially exit a business and some things that you can prepare for. It's a quick 15-minute survey that you can complete, so it doesn't take a lot of time. And the information that you're going to get through completing this is very valuable, something that I think that you'll really get some benefit out of. And so I would encourage you to take the steps. Now, if your company is generating at least $1 million in profit or is doing $5 million in revenue or above, this is a perfect tool for you to be able to get that information. If you're below that $1 million mark in profit, that's okay. My goal in separate videos will be to help you get to that point. But for now, this is a great tool to utilize if your company is currently at that profit level. So let's talk about the value gap assessment. So this is a tool that we will offer to you complimentary, and it's a very simple 15 to 20 minute questionnaire that's going to ask you some information about your business. The only financial information that you're going to need to provide at this time is going to be an estimate of your annual revenue and an estimate of your profit. Once we get that information, we're going to compile about a 20-page report. Now, this report is going to be a very simple overview to give you an idea of what the estimate of your value could be today and compared to what the industry best in class would look like. So during this 20-page report or so, we're going to cover a couple different items. Number one, we're going to talk through the value roadmap. You're going to answer questions around the operational, the business and ownership, marketing and competition, and regulatory legal roadmap. Again, this is going to give you kind of a scoring system to give you an idea of how your company rates within the industry. Very important, be as honest as you can. I know a lot of times you may think that your business is at a higher level than it may be at. The more conservative and the more honest you are with completing the questionnaire, the better it is going to be able to give you an idea of what that potential gap may be. The second component that you'll get is you'll actually get the business value. So you'll get the business valuation. And again, it's a very informal business valuation based on the questionnaire, based on the numbers that you put in. And then it's also going to show you that best in class. I'll show you a graph of this here in a little bit, but it's essentially going to give you an idea of what that value gap could potentially be between you and best in class. And then at the very end, you're going to get that summary. So it's going to give you an idea of the different types of exits, some ideas on how you could potentially increase the value of the business by just doing minor tweaks in your current business. And so that's what you're going to get. Again, 15 to 20 minute questionnaire. Doesn't take a lot of time. the value that you'll get out of this will be tremendous, and it's something that we will give to you to take. So something that you can keep, something you can refer back to, and we'll break down a little bit about each category of the value gap assessment in the future videos. What if I told you that your market competition can have a significant impact on your business value? Chances are you'd say, I know that. It's very common that I'm going to have to determine how I rank amongst my competition based on pricing, based on actual product or service quality. But we want to get into the details of what exactly that means. So this is just a quick example of the scorecard that you would get as part of one of the components of the value gap assessment. So we're going to talk real quickly about the marketing competition score. Now, these are the questions that you're going to have to answer as you go through this assessment. Questions such as, what is the current market opportunity? Is there a high barrier of entry? So if there are competitors that want to enter my market, is it going to cost them a significant amount of money to get into my market? As most of you know, the higher the barrier of entry, the less competitors you will have, which means that you have a significant opportunity to grow your business. The lower the barrier of entrance typically means you're going to have a lot more competition, which means you have to value focusing on the quality of your service or product to be able to drive more revenue from that. In addition to that, it's going to look at customer concentration. So one big question you should always be asking yourself is, if I were to lose my top 3 clients, what would that do to my business? Will it have a significant impact on the revenue and profit of my company? That's something that a lot of business owners don't realize can have a significant impact on the value of their company. In addition to that, we want to look at how many of your clients are return clients, meaning is it a one purchase and done, you complete a service for them and they move on, or these clients that you have that are currently returning more and more to you for additional service and products. So this is just a brief area that we will ask on the questionnaire. Again, you're looking at no more than 10 questions. Very simple. You're rating them on a scale of 1 to 5, and it'll give you an idea of what your marketing competition score is in this area. Now, there's a total of 5 areas. So again, as I mentioned, shouldn't take you more than about 15 to 20 minutes to complete. And the information that you're going to get out of this will definitely help you as you look at evaluating your business, not only from a value perspective, but also from an operating perspective. Now, I'm sure many of you have heard the word multiple. If you haven't heard the word multiple, multiple is basically what a buyer will pay in terms of your company based on your profits. To give a very simple example, if your company generates $1 million in profit and the multiple for your industry is 2, they will generally pay about $2 million for your company. Now, every industry is different. Some industries have higher multiples than others. But through the value gap assessment, you will get an idea of what your industry average may be. It'll also give you on the low end, the high end, and it will also give you an idea of where you fit in that range. So that's where answering the couple questions on the value gap assessment around revenue and profit, that's where this comes into play. So part of the value gap assessment that you will get is going to be a brief summary of the information that you provided. It's going to give a breakdown of the industry that you're in, as well as the multiple ranges. And so based on that, this is where we develop the estimated value for a company. So as you look at this, in this case, this particular company is right around $2.7 million. That's a total value of the company that somebody would potentially pay for the company. Now that's going to be pretty much right around the average, so you'll get an idea of, again, where you rank amongst your peers within that industry. But the value of this is, again, 15 to 20 minutes questionnaire gets you a pretty good amount of information. Again, 100% complimentary. There's no charge for putting this report together. Again, the whole goal of this is to basically add some value and to start stimulating some questions that you want to start thinking about as you prepare at some point. Again, not necessarily today or not necessarily in 5 or 10 years, but at some point you want to kind of start getting an idea of what that's going to look like. Okay, so wrapping up the value gap assessment, again, shouldn't take you more than 15 to 20 minutes to complete. And with that, you'll get about a 20-page report that's going to cover everything that we just talked about, everything from understanding what your different scores are and the different areas that drive the value of your business. You'll get an estimated value for your company. You'll get the best in class, also the gap between you and the best in class. You'll also get some education on why it's important to be prepared for potential exit, along with the different exit options in terms of the level of complexity compared to the level of value that you will get. With that being said, at the end of the day, you control the value of your business, not the outside market. A buyer will pay what they feel is appropriate based on what you have done to build the company, not just from a financial standpoint, but all of the different processes that you have put in place. At the end of the day, you have your financial number, but then you also have what's called your intangible number, which is everything else you bring to the table that allows your business to run smoothly. So here's the next step. The value gap assessment, again, is a free tool, complimentary. If it's something that provides enough information for you to be able to take back to your company and implement some of these processes, fantastic. Again, it's yours free of charge. But if you feel like, hey, you know what, I'd like to get a little bit more information, I'd like to maybe do a little bit of a deeper dive into my specific company, we do offer that next level. And what that next level is, called a business insights report. Now we're looking at diving even deeper into your financials. We're doing more of an in-depth questionnaire interview with you to be able to develop a more precise valuation on your company. In addition to that, we're also providing some consultation to you in terms of how to improve the intangible areas that will help drive the value of your business. Again, the financials are essentially set in stone. The value of your company on the financial side is going to be determined based on your profits, your revenue, cash flow, and other financial metrics. Where you can actually improve, and in fact, you can improve at a higher level, is your intangible assets. So with the Business Insights report, we will provide you with some consultation and kind of help you start putting some of those processes in place. So you can absolutely stop here if the value gap assessment is enough for you. Again, free of charge, complimentary. If you want to continue down the journey to really dig in to start driving the value of your company, reach out to us. Again, the very first consultation 30-minute strategy session will be to go over this report with you. And if you feel like it's something that you would like to continue and build that next step into your process, we can set up another time where we can get together and have you give an idea of what that will look like. Okay, so what if you were ready to sell your company, but you weren't sure if you were ready, either personally or through the business, whether or not now was the right time? I've been talking to a lot of business owners lately that have been getting that phone call, right? You get the phone call that says, hey, I'm interested in buying your business. Is it for sale? Now, the first question that runs through your mind is typically, no, my business isn't for sale, but I'm just curious. Maybe I want to figure out what potentially I could get in terms of a dollar figure for my business. Well, understand this. So when a company does reach out to you to acquire your business, they're primarily looking to test the waters to see if it's even a possibility. Then next, maybe they'll make an offer to you that's very based on very basic information. Then there is what's called due diligence. Now, in due diligence, they are going to dig deeply into the business to determine whether it's worth their time and money to acquire your business. So you want to make sure that your business is ready. So should you get that offer, you have a pretty good idea what the buyer is going to look for and whether or not it's going to be an attractive offer to them. So one of the other free tools that we do offer is a business readiness questionnaire. Very simple tool. Again, it shouldn't take you more than 15 minutes to complete. And it's actually going to give you an idea of whether or not your business and you personally are ready to exit. So again, it's a simple questionnaire. It's going to ask you some questions such as, have you done a formal business valuation? Now, the value gap assessment is one that we also offer for free. However, that's a very informal business valuation. This is talking about a formal business valuation, which you can actually get through our Business Insights report as a separate service. It's going to ask you questions such as, how have you done your financials? Do you just have regular financials that are done, or do you have reviewed financials, and more importantly, audited financials, which is what a buyer is going to want to have you do either way. Then we're going to jump down into some of the personal information for you. Do you have a personal financial plan in place? Have you worked with a financial planner to determine what your number looks like? In terms of number, it's going to be how much you need to sell your business to be able to achieve your goals and live the lifestyle that you want post-exit. It's also going to talk about questions such as, do you have a trust in place? Have you done a risk management analysis? So there's a bunch of different questions that will hopefully stimulate some questions, it'll stimulate some thoughts in your mind to determine if you were prepared should you were to get that offer. And then also you want to consider some unfortunate events that may pop up, things such as death, disability, divorce, that may cause you to be in a situation where you may be forced to exit your business involuntary. So it's a great questionnaire. And what I'll show you here in a minute is that at the very end of the survey, you'll actually get a letter grade. It's going to be a very similar letter grade to where you would get in school. A means you're in great position to exit. F means that you are not in great position. And then B, C, you're almost there, but there are some things that we need to do to work on to help you get to that point. So once again, it's not just important to know what the value of your company is or what the potential value is, but it's also equally important to understand if you are even ready from a business standpoint and from a personal financial standpoint. So some of you may be thinking your baby is more attractive than it really is. And so it's natural when you've built your business from the ground up to think that you've built the best business that's out there, that just about anybody would just love to have your business. But the reality is that there's a lot of details that buyers look at to determine whether or not it's even a business that they would want to acquire. Just because you have the greatest financial numbers in the world, the highest profit margins, the best clients, doesn't necessarily mean that your business is attractive. So an additional tool that we do offer, completely complimentary, is we will walk you through an attractiveness questionnaire. Once again, shouldn't take more than 10 to 15 minutes to complete the questionnaire, and it'll actually give you a score or grade at the end to tell you exactly how attractive your business. Worst case scenario, it's going to stimulate some thoughts in your mind as you go through the questionnaire to really think through how attractive your business really is. So we're going to look at the 4 intangible assets that are not financially driven. We're going to look at areas such as your people. So do you have the right processes in place to be able to acquire, retain top talent, and then grow them within the company? We're going to look at your client base to see, should you lose your top 3 clients today, what impact that would have on your business. We're going to look at your processes. Do you have standard operating procedures in place? Should you have a key employee that leaves, would you be able to pick up right where they left off? And then we're also going to look at your brand and your competitive landscape. Where do you sit in terms of your industry? How well recognized is your brand? And is it something that we can improve upon? So the attractiveness questionnaire is a great tool to just give you an idea whether or not your business is even attractive to potential buyers. And again, at the very least, it's going to stimulate some questions that could potentially improve your operations today and not necessarily just for an exit. So 10 to 15 minutes. If you want to take the time, click on the link below. Again, completely complimentary. We'll set up a 30-minute strategy session after you submit your results to go over it with you and just kind of give you an idea of some tips that you may want to look at today to improve the attractiveness of your business.